Buffalo, 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 Buffalo fanatics, Buffalo fanatics, Buffalo fanatics, Buffalo fanatics, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo fanatics, Buffalo fanatics, Buffalo fanatics, Buffalo fanatics. It's the Rico Report knocking at your door. Say it with your chest, best believe that we blessed, yeah. It's the Rico Repo knocking at your door. Say it with your chest, best believe that we blessed, yeah. Go Bills, Josh Allen and the team putting work on the field. Time to win a Super Bowl and see how I feel. Bring out the tables, cause we about to break them. Division champs again.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy back at it again. It does feel like I've been gone a little bit, but you know what? Sometimes you gotta take a little break. Sometimes you gotta refresh the mind a little bit and then get back into Bills talk and get back into Bills football. So, folks, welcome to another edition of the Buffalo Fanatics, another edition of the Rico Report. Welcome, and let's get this party started, baby. Let's go, folks. Welcome. It's the off season, baby. It is the off season, and it is off seasons blow. Let me just tell you, man. Let's be real. Let's be honest with each other. Off seasons blow. By the way, shout out to my guy John Formicella, way out east and out in Asia. My goodness, man. Taiwan. What's happening, bro? Appreciate you joining the show, and appreciate everybody joining the show today. So it goes a long way. So we got a few things to talk about today, folks, and I'm gonna tell you, man. I do not like our cap situation. I really don't. I'm not a fan of it. Brandon Beane is going to have some things to do. He's going to have to get creative. He's going to make some moves that we may not be a big fan of. I'm going to tell you that right now. We're not going to be a big fan of a lot of things that he's going to do, but he's not going to have a choice. There's two things he's either going to do. He's either going to go status quo and just bring everybody, try to bring everybody back as possible and run it back the same way, minus a few pieces here and there. But we clearly know that we are missing a few. Excuse me, my man John Formicella, Thailand. I said Taiwan, Thailand. Excuse me. Thank you for that correction, my good man. But listen, man. We have some cap situations. That's just the end of it, and it's all over the place, right? You go to over the cap, they tell us we got like 6.3 mil. You go to Spot Rack, we're like we're in the red, we're in the minus. So it's either way. Put it this way: we've got some decisions, tough decisions to make. Brandon Beane has some tough decisions to make. But before we get into that, let's get into the chatter. What's going on around the league, especially concerning the Bills. A lot of fans. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of fans are ready to move on from a few players on this team. Cole Beasley being one of them. I think some people have come to a point where they're like, you know what? We let him go. We save $6.1 million. It's a good chunk. It's definitely a good chunk of money to give back and put back into our cap space so we can go and move ahead and try to acquire that piece, that missing piece that we're missing. Some folks may say that missing piece is on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of folks and most folks would say that missing piece is on the defensive side of the ball, more specifically in the trenches. So where do we go from here? What moves must be made? Now, before we get into that, I need to get into the patience and impatience of Bills fans, mine included, right? And more specifically, the fairness that this patience comes with, right? Are we being fair to certain roster pieces on this team where we're not giving them the just due to develop and get better, right? Because we all know people develop differently. I mean, let's take a child, right? You and I have a child at the same time, right? Your wife and I excuse me, my wife and I, and your wife, we had the baby at, you know what I'm saying, born same day, right? 2 years, fast forward, my child isn't walking yet, but speaking great, right? And your child was walking at 6 months, was walking and talking and doing all that stuff. People develop differently, right? Babies develop differently, and I tie that together to kind of say sometimes we as fans get impatient by waiting for certain players on our team to develop, more specifically the young players, right? Because we know that Brandon Beane, um, he prides himself in developing the young players, right? We live in the draft. We homegrown, get our own guys to make them develop into what we need them to be, and we go from there. Sometimes we grow impatient with some of these players, and we're like, you gotta go. Like, we've tried this experiment and it's not working out. I.e., Cody Ford, for one, right? Cody Ford drafted in the second round. Expected big things from Cody Ford. There was some good moments with Cody Ford, and then there was some terrible moments with Cody Ford. And then on top of that, you had injuries. So you're sitting here going, okay, so what am I going to do with a guy like Cody Ford? Am I giving up on him too soon? Well, we've seen what happens when you give up on players too soon, i.e., Indianapolis Colts, right? Jerry Hughes, first round draft pick, right? And they're like, you know what? A couple years in, 2-3 years in, we're like, they're not feeling it. They're like, you know what? We're gonna try to move you. So, well, guess what? They move him to the Bills, and his career skyrocketed from there, right? So where does our patience lie? Is the real question. Shout out to my man Kevin Gerard coming in with a he comes in with a comment. He says, "Is next year the year Jerry Hughes gets back to double-digit sacks?" Kevin, stop trolling, Kevin. Okay, we know how you feel about our guy Jerry Hughes, but there has been conversation of Jerry Hughes coming back. Bring back Jerry Hughes, right? On a very, 1 year deal. Give him a 2-3 year deal, but really it's a 1 year deal, and it saves you in the cap. There is that that stigma that's out there. Thank you, Kevin, for being sarcastic. I love it. I love your sarcasm, sir. But nonetheless, we get to a point where, like, okay, so who are we running impatient with? Well, I'll start with one. And the question really begs is, who are we running impatient with, and who's to blame for our impatience, right? So one player that, and you know what, Brian Day, great example. Wyatt Teller. I wouldn't say we gave up on Wyatt Teller per se. I think it was more so we just needed to acquire some pieces that have been a very big contributor to our team right now. However, it still begs the point to go back and say, oh, wait a minute, had we just held off, Wyatt Teller would be all pro guard. Now, would he be an all pro guard in our system? And everything, there's a lot of changes that happen, right? But great point nonetheless. Now, growing impatient, who is it on? Is it on the player, or is it on coaching developing these players, the development of these players coming from the coaches? Are the coaches doing a good enough job to get these guys prepared, right? Are they scheming correctly? Are they putting them in the right position, right? There's a lot of things that we don't see that end up getting us impatient, right? So the one name that stands out to me immediately is AJ Epenesa, right? One can say, "Yo, I'm done. I've seen what I need to see from AJ Epenesa. I'm done. Let's keep it moving, right? Let's try to look for some trade pieces for AJ Epenesa, see if somebody else will grab him and go from there." But are we giving up too soon, right? I see some really good things with AJ Epenesa. We've seen some really good flashes from him, right? The challenge is you have so many guys on the damn line that you need to rotate and get these guys in and out. So maybe a change of philosophy in terms of rotating constantly and keeping guys fresh can allow these guys to really get a feel for the game, a feel for their opponent, and then go from there. I don't know if I've explained this to you, but I did an interview with Greg Rousseau, right? And Greg Rousseau had a couple games in his final year of collegiate ball where dude had like multiple sacks. And I asked him, what is it about having these multiple sacks in these games? Like, what's the nuances? What's going on? How are you setting things up? His response was, listen, man, It's about finding the tendencies, and I'll clip it and send you guys that clip. It's about finding the tendencies with that lineman, knowing what I can do with him, and then once I figure him out, it's over with. Like there's nothing you can do about it, right? So how are you to figure someone out if half the time you're on the sideline because you're waiting for your turn to get into the game, right? So there's that point. So with a guy like AJ Epinesa, you tend to want to see more from him, but he's at the mercy of the rotation game. The rotation game is what the game that's being played with McDermott, with the way he does things, right? He wants guys in and out, fresh, ready to go because we need to get after that quarterback. Well, what good is it if I can't get a rhythm? And some people feel like that is not the way to look at it. Either you got it or you don't. Well, it's not as simple as that, right? You gotta understand, you gotta get a feel for it. No different from a running back. You put a running back in for 2 to 3 carries. What's that gonna do for me? I need to get a good feel for how this defense has been playing. You give me 15 touches, I'll show you what's good. And we saw a great example of that with Devin Singletary, right? 15 to 20 touches, he produces. 7 to 15 touches, very difficult to get production out of that, right? It's just tough. Circumstances change in the game, it differs. So a guy like AJ Epinesa would be someone that I'm like, it'd be quick for us to say, I'm done with that dude. But give him an opportunity, and we might see more out of him, right? Patience. Okay, next guy, Dane Jackson. To me, Dane Jackson did a really good job of showing us year one that, okay, we see something in this guy. This guy, he seems to be around the ball. He's instinctive. He's physical. He has no problems going to tackle. I like what I see in Dane Jackson, right? Fast forward to year 2. Trey White goes down. Dane Jackson comes in. He did a formidable job, right? He had a couple moments where we're like, what the heck, Mr. Dane Jackson? But he's a year 2 guy, right? So you got to give these guys chances, right? But then it's the tough part is, who are you giving these chances to? Are you wasting time with somebody, and are you not? And this is where the coaching comes in and where we can figure things out. And it's always been a tough one for me because I want to see all these young guys that we draft do well. But are they getting the opportunity? Because we got some veteran guys that are taking up space. I mean, my goodness, we had Trent Murphy taking up valuable space and time, right? And money. And we let this boy sit on the damn bench and collect a paycheck. What a waste, right? So we can't do that. We can't do those things to these young players by letting these veterans take space. Now, I'm not saying there's guys on this roster that was taking space, but some people would disagree and say, actually, there was, right? Jerry Hughes, Kevin Gerard would point out to Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes was taking up space. Give the reps to a young AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham, and have Jerry Hughes sit more. Some people feel that way, right? But Jerry Hughes was very good in defending the run. He didn't do what we needed him to do in terms of getting after the passer, but he did other things great. And there's a chance that they bring him back. Now, my question to y'all is, if you were to bring back a veteran defensive lineman on this squad, who would you bring back between Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison? If you're gonna keep one veteran, because it's always good to have a veteran guy on the line that kind of keep things rolling, keep these guys refreshed in their mind to say, okay, I've been in this situation before, guys. Keep it together. I mean, you need that veteran leadership. Who are you keeping between those two guys? Most would say Addison because of the production we got out of him, right? He was he's one of our better sack guys last year, and he was our leading pass rusher this year with 7 sacks this year. Some would say you keep the more productive guy getting after the football. Fine. But then you have folks that would say keep Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes understands the city. Jerry Hughes understands the fan base. Jerry Hughes, is the heartbeat of this defense, if you will, right? He knows the struggle of what the Bills have been in the past and what the Bills can be. So you keep a guy like that. And plus, he could still be a very good piece on this team of defending the run. He's really good at that. So which do you keep? I was under the impression I was on the keep Mario Addison because he gets after it. But Mario has some moments, boy, where it made me shake my head and say, fam, how did you miss that tackle? You were right there multiple times, right? And that was just this year. I mean, there was last year, there was a couple times, one that stood out to me very much so was against the Arizona Cardinals. He had our guy, Kyler Murray, dead to rights. You guys remember that game? And let him out of his grasp, let him out of his hook. So it's just one of those scenarios and situations where you're sitting there like, okay, what are we doing? Right? On the flip side, we brought in Boogie Basham second round. We bring in Greg Rousseau first round. You think, and in my opinion, and I think a lot of people share this opinion, you draft someone in the first round, that person should be a staple in your offense. Unless he's a quarterback that you drafted and you need him to sit behind a veteran quarterback, that's a different story. Defensive lineman, I need you to jump right in. You're my first rounder. I need you to be a contributor immediately, which Greg Rousseau at moments was. Then he hit a wall, and he had his moments of being a productive lineman that we needed him. Granted, he's a rookie. Boogie Basham, inactive most of the year, right? I'd say most of the year he was inactive. He had some moments where he came in. I think he ended the season with like 2.5 sacks, give or take. Wouldn't you like to see more of these guys that come into your team? A second rounder, I mean, should be able to somehow find a way on the field and be a contributor. To me, your first and second rounders, my goodness, should be on the field. But we sitting here not allowing this to happen because we value the veteran guys on the squad. No problem with that. But these veterans got to be giving us something, right? Mario Addison, at least you can look at it on paper and say, okay, he had 7 sacks this year, right? Jerry Hughes, on the other hand, not sure. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those situations where I'm in the I guess in the mind frame of keeping Mario Addison before I keep Jerry Hughes. Nostalgia is great. Knowing the city's great, but you did your time with Buffalo, honestly. Great time. I would say, all right, it's time for you to venture off somewhere else. There's no hate. It's just that I'd prefer to, if I'm keeping one of them at least, I would keep Mario before I would keep Jerry, because Mario's just been the more productive guy getting after the passer. That's just what I've seen. That's what we've seen, and we get it, right? Comment coming in from Brett Holmes says Boogie being benched was a mistake. When he was in, he made plays, and like you said, valued vets too much. Play hot hand and go. That's the thing, man. I don't. It's that's a sore spot for me when it comes to McDermott. I like McDermott. McDermott is a good coach for me, but sometimes he gets stuck in his ways a little bit, where the veteran guy needs to be on the field. No, put the guy that is the best player. Like that's it, man. And if Mario and Jerry Hughes and Vernon Butler were all better than Boogie Basham, then okay. But my eyes tell me something different. My eyes tell me something different. And you brought in a Boogie Basham, and most people would have. And if once they got drafted, most people thought that Boogie Basham would have been the better rookie or the better defensive lineman, at least on the early onset, over Greg Rousseau because of his abilities, right? Greg Rousseau missed a year, so he's going to take time for him to get acclimated into the NFL. But it didn't turn out that way. It did not turn out that way because we didn't give him the opportunity to get on the field more often. Well, we're going to soon find out, because there's a lot of changes that are going to be coming to this team, let alone this defensive line. So we'll see how this is going to play out. So that was one thing that I did want to touch on. So young players on this squad. It does make you want to ask questions, right? Like Tremaine Edmunds. Tremaine Edmunds is going into year 5. Year 5. Are we confident in Tremaine Edmunds' ability going forward as a staple in this defense? Do we trust what he's developed into, right? Those are valid questions, man. And I have love for Tremaine Edmunds, man. I really do. I think that he gets a bad rap. I really do. But he sometimes does bring it on himself. He brings it on himself. I'm going to tell you right now, he brings it on himself. And there are moments where you're like, man, fam, like we're going to pay you a long-term deal and you pull this stunt. And we've seen this stunt many times. And then you have moments where he comes in and he looks like the damn middle linebacker that you want him to be. 6'5", 250, can go sideline to sideline, has the ability to do a lot of things. And you're like, that's our guy. Next to freaking Matt Milano, we're set for a while. And a lot of me feels that way. And then there's some moments where I kind of second guess myself, where I'm like, okay, wait a minute now. Could this be this is far-fetched speculation here, but could he be trade bait? where we're like, you know what, Tremaine, it's been real, but we want to trade you, and whoever's going to take you, they're going to do whatever they got to do with you. That is one way to look at it. I can't see it happening, and this is where the fault, if you will, or great thing in McDermott is he trusts a lot in the guys that they draft. He wants them to pan out, so he's going to hold on to them a little longer, right? Because in the past, and this is the time the challenge, because in the past we've been in a position where we develop our players and we let them walk because we don't want to pay, right? We've been in that position, right? We've seen enough players leave Buffalo because we didn't want to play. We didn't want to pay. Nate Clemens being one of them, right? Nate Clemens was solid, right? And he goes on to have a fantastic career with San Fran. Killer, right? And that's just one of many players that have left the Bills because we chose not to extend, not to pay up, because at that moment, when who was in leadership was tight on the purse strings. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's a lot that plays into it. So we almost have to remind ourselves where we have been, where we were complaining that we don't keep our guys. Well, now we are starting to keep our guys. We are starting to keep our guys, but then we get impatient. Well, we are keeping them, but like we haven't seen what we need to see. Well, everyone develops differently. Everyone develops differently. So it's been something that I wanted to get off my chest. I mean, you guys know what it is. Like Antoine Winfield, for crying out loud. Antoine Winfield, 5'9", small guy, but he goes to Minnesota and freaking kills it for many years. And now his son is in the league doing the same damn thing. So you know what it is, man. Pat Williams. My goodness. Thank you for bringing these up, because you guys are reminding me how painful it was to let some of these cats go. But my goodness, it's quite something, man. It's quite something. Sheldon Cole comes in and throws the mic down on your boy. Thank you for the mics, my G. Off topic, but is it a stretch to say Gabriel Davis is better than Deontay Johnson? I think he is. Two different skill sets. Deontay Johnson is more your speed guy, get downfield. Problem with Deontay Johnson is he's inconsistent. You've seen it, and we're not even Pittsburgh fans, man. But this boy has the drop C's, the case of the drop C's. The one thing that you can count on with Gabriel Davis, is that he will catch the football, right? He will. He may not be as fast as Deontay Johnson, but two different skill sets. I love Deontay Johnson's style. I love that he can get downfield and he's a threat, and you're always going to know that he's a threat. But so is Gabriel Davis. I'm telling you right now, last year, was it last year? Yeah, last year with John Brown, fam, Gabriel Davis was our best deep threat. He was our greatest deep threat. You think it would have been John Brown with the speed going downfield, but no, it wasn't. It was Gabriel Davis. Gabriel Davis was that dude. So shout out to Gabe Davis, and I think he's going to be a very good receiver with us for years to come. And we did good. We did good in picking Gabriel Davis. And here's the beautiful thing about and I'm purposely not touching on draft because it's not time for draft talk, right? You can talk about draft right now, but right now it's free agency. It's about who you're going to retain on this team. The season opened up today that you can start tagging certain players. I don't think we have any tag-worthy players on our team, but we'll see. You never know. But nonetheless, we did really good with drafting Gabe Davis, and we double dipped, right? And maybe that was the philosophy for these Bills decided to go with, right? We double dipped that receiver with Gabe Davis and Isaiah Hodgins, right? And guess who panned out? Gabe Davis. I'm not saying Isaiah Hodgins isn't going to pan out, but fortunate things that happened for Gabe Davis where he had the opportunity to showcase his abilities, and it panned out. Isaiah Hodgins, on the other hand, injuries have slowed him down. Then he's been on the practice squad and buried on the depth chart. So it's one of those situations like, okay, so what happens with Isaiah Hodgins? Well, good thing is we drafted two guys. So had we not drafted Gabe Davis and we just drafted Isaiah Hodgins, would we have been forcing Isaiah Hodgins onto the field, right? Even though maybe he's not that guy. I have no idea, right? Isaiah Hodgins could be. Very much could be. Maybe injuries just slowed him down, and this year could be the year that he really gets himself, in shape, ready to go and ready to get after it. But another year, another round of draft picks that we're probably going to add to our receiving core, it's going to just push certain people down, right? Marquez Stevenson's on the squad. We don't know what we have with Marquez Stevenson, right? We don't know what we're going to do with the likes of Isaiah freaking McKenzie. Is he coming back? Are we letting him walk? So many things play into account when it comes to this team. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this squad. Now, patience. We have to have patience. We have to value development. A lot of times we run out of patience and we want guys to be good right away, but you got to give them opportunity. But as a fan and as a fan of a team that you want to have success and they're right there knocking on the doorstep, what philosophy do you use? Do you continue to use, develop your young guys, and hopefully we fall into something great? Or do we change things up? Now, here is the deal. The LA Rams just won the Super Bowl. Everyone knows what the Rams have done. It's documented. They said the hell with picks. They said the hell with salary cap. We want to win and we want to win now. So what do? They jump in and get Von Miller. They jump in and get freaking OBJ. They bring in Sonny Michel. Like they didn't care, right? They go and get one of the best corners in the game. You know what I'm saying? So like it's one of those situations we got to get the best. We have to pay for the best, and we gotta hope for the best. And it worked out for them because right now they had a quarterback that got them to the Super Bowl in Goff, but it just wasn't enough. They noticed that. They said, we got to upgrade somewhere. Guess what? They bring in Matt Stafford. And what does Matt Stafford do? Comes in first year, Super Bowl. Boom. That was the missing piece. They needed that quarterback that can take them where they need to. The receiving core is intact. They got a good running game. O-line is solid, but they were just missing that one piece, which then makes me switch it back over to Bills fans. What are we missing on this team in order for us to win this Super Bowl? Where is this missing piece? Where in the league is this missing piece? Where in this draft is this missing piece? Where in free agency is this missing piece? And where are we putting this missing piece? And I'll tell you right now, this missing piece that we do not have, that we are searching for, maybe this missing piece is on our team that just hasn't developed yet. But this missing piece should be right input into our defensive line, because I think that's where we lack. That's where we have issues. And it may not show because we finished the year with 42 sacks. I think we finished 11th overall in the year. So we're almost a top 10 team in getting out to the quarterback, but it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel that way because the games that we really needed these 42 sacks to really count, it just feel like we didn't get them against those teams. We got it against the teams that, I mean, we saw the schedule. Our schedule was kind of cupcake-ish, right? We faced some quarterbacks where you're like, really? Right? So it was, I wouldn't call it a fraudulent year per se, because every game is just difficult to win. I mean, we've lost some games where we weren't supposed to, and we won games that we were supposed to. But it just plays into that part where you're like, what is it that we're missing? Where is it that we're missing? Well, decisions are gonna have to be made, and some releases are gonna have to be done. Cuts are gonna have to be made. Signings are gonna have to be done. And I'll say this though. Brandon Beane was on a podcast, and I can't remember the podcast he was on. And I really, it was Eric Wood's podcast. And in that podcast, they had conversations about, everything under the sun. And one of them was about free agency, and you're saying, what are you willing to do? And I'm paraphrasing here, but Brandon Beane is willing. He's looking to potentially go after a big splash trade. Right? He could. If it's there, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. So I don't know where I saw this, but I saw a very interesting Facebook, or was it Facebook or on Instagram? I can't remember exactly. But a very interesting topic was put forward, right? What pieces are we missing? To me, we're missing on the defensive line, right? So, or are we missing a piece? Is our running game is what we're missing? Are we missing a running back? Are we missing something? So then I saw Tremaine Edmunds being part of conversation of trade. And I saw, that's very interesting. And the question was, would you trade Tremaine Edmunds for Saquon Barkley? I think that was the question. And I found that very interesting. Tremaine Edmunds for Saquon Barkley. Dynamic running back. He's had some moments of injuries, but we know that he can be a top back in the league. In 2018, he had a monster year. So would you be interested in a Tremaine Edmunds for Saquon Barkley? And that was the topic that it was put out there. Then I thought to myself immediately, the minute I heard that question, what do you think came to my mind? Immediately when I heard Saquon Barkley for Tremaine Edmunds, I thought of Kiko Alonso for LaShawn McCoy. And both players were solid players, right? Kiko was great. We love Kiko, the legend of Kiko. Everybody was all about Kiko. And LaShawn McCoy was LaShawn McCoy. You already know. And we made that trade. Some people say, whoa, how did you manage to make that trade? That's craziness, right? Now, am I saying go after it? Not necessarily, because there's some really good backs in this draft. But we're, for the sake of trades and free agency and signing our own, this is why this conversation is being had. So it made me think of LaShawn McCoy for Kiko. And I think both teams won. I think the Bills won more per se, because Kiko had a good year for the Eagles. But the point I'm trying to make is, do you make that type of trade to bolster your team, right? Because there's some pieces that we're missing. Do we feel very good about Devin Singletary? Yes, I feel good about Devin Singletary. But is Devin Singletary the back that's going to take us a little over that edge? To be determined. To be determined. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of conversation to be had, and I'm glad to have that conversation with y'all, because this is going to be a long off season, and I'm not going to sit here and put out outlandish shit, because that's not what I do. I don't want to put outlandish trade scenarios just to have stuff out there. But this one's a legitimate one, because guess who went over to the damn Giants, right? Joe Shane. Guess who's the head coach for the Giants? Brian Daboll. So Brian Daboll, Joe Shane are very familiar with Tremaine Edmunds. They know what he brings to the table, right? Joe Shane has no affiliation. Daboll has no affiliation with Saquon Barkley. Maybe they don't value the run game like maybe McDermott does. And that's another topic to get into. The philosophical differences between Daboll and Coach McDermott. I think Coach McDermott is all about trying to run the game, control the game, conservative, all that good stuff, right? Some people don't like that. And Daboll's about no conservativeness. Let's go after it. Let's do it, right? Don't forget, McDermott comes from the Panthers team that had two really good backs in James Stewart. Was it Jonathan James Stewart and D'Angelo Williams? A 1-2 punch. He remembers that. They had a good defense and could run the football. And that team went right to the Super Bowl. Don't you remember? I remember Cam Newton, Steve Johnson. You want me to say Steve Johnson, Steve Smith. You know what I'm saying? They had that dynamic. They had that dynamic. So I wonder if, and you hear the rumors of the rifts between McDermott and Brian Daboll, and maybe there was a little something, and that's why he was ready to go. Rumor had it that whether he did not get the head coaching job for the Giants, he was probably going to leave anyway to go somewhere else. So very interesting topic. So maybe there is a more value in running the football, and maybe we see something happen in the running back game, and maybe a trade is made. Who knows? Brandon Beane ain't shy. He's not shy to say no, and he ain't shy to say, wait a minute, let's talk about it. Because all it took was a tweet from Stephon Diggs, and Brandon Beane was like, oh, I see you, kid. I may not get you this year, but I'm going to get you next year. And guess what? Stephon Diggs is on the Bills right now. So Brandon Beane will act if it makes his team better. And what I love about Brandon Beane too is that he cares very much about winning. He cares very much about having success. And something that he said in that Eric Wood podcast is like, yo, I hate losing. I can't stand it. He's like, I haven't even watched the Super Bowl other than a couple plays here and there. I'm not going back to it. I haven't watched it. He's like, when we lost the Super Bowl, was it 2015? I can't remember. When we lost the Super Bowl, when I was in Carolina, I still haven't gone to watch that game. I watched a couple moments of it, but that's it, because I am pissed. I don't like it. I don't love it. For my GM, I love every bit of it. So he's going to do everything in his power to bolster this team, and get us to where we need to be. Question is, where? That is the question. Do we have the funds? And right now, the funds aren't looking great. I've seen so many reports of how much money we got. And right now, cap space is not looking good, folks. All right. It's not looking good. 2.3 mil. Right. And I've seen other places tell us that we have 6.3 mil. But 2.3 mil makes you want to pull the old collar and say, that's going to be tight. How do we maneuver around that? Right? Who we cutting? Who we moving? Let's look at the free agents that we have on the squad. Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison, F.A. Obata. We got to make a decision on that. Brian Cox Jr., Harrison Phillips. Are you bringing Harrison Phillips back? Right? Vernon Butler, Justin Zimmer. Right? He's an RFA. Levi Wallace. What are you doing with Levi Wallace? Right? We gave him a 1-year deal. Are you trying to bring him back on a multi-year deal, or are you looking elsewhere? Saron Neal, right? Safety / corner / you know what I'm saying? You're a guy that can get downfield on special teams. Do you not value special teams? You got to bring him back, right? Mitch Trubisky, he's going to be looking for an opportunity to go and start somewhere at least, right? And if he doesn't feel he's going to get an opportunity to start somewhere, does he come back to the Bills, right? Tywan Jones, special teams ace, right? Do we bring him back? He made a stint. He had a stint with us not too long ago, and then he went to the Texans and he killed us with the Texans, that bastard. Then he came back to the Bills just to kind of rub it in our face a little bit. I'm just kidding. But you guys catch what I'm saying, right? Ryan Bates. Do we bring back Ryan Bates? Of course we do. Of course you sign that man to a damn long-term deal, at least a 2-3-year deal, right? Ike Bucker, Bobby Hart, Isaiah McKenzie, Emmanuel Sanders, Jake Kumaro, right? Those are some of the names that Brandon Beane has to make a decision on. That's not an easy thing to do, man. You got to make a decision on these guys to keep your team A, competitive, keep your team B, somewhat intact, right? For continuity's sake. And you guys already know how I feel about continuity, right? So you want all those things, right? Cap is going up, which is great. But man, we're in rough shape. So here's the deal. We're gonna play a little game here. 35 minutes in. By the way, shout out to each and every one of you guys tuned in. It's always love. It's the off season. It's very difficult to sit here and create content and come up with stuff to talk about that is relevant, right? Relevant. Most folks want to talk about drafting right now. Right now, it's good to talk about some prospects, but I'm gonna wait it out until we really get into the thick of things with free agency and seeing what we're doing, right? It's nice to stay current, right? So that being said, we're gonna play a little game. We're going to go to the spot rack and see what we're working with, who we can restructure, who we can cut, what does it make sense, what money can we save. A lot of those things are going to play into it. Now, before I get into it, I'm going to take some comments and questions, and then we'll get into looking at the spot rack and see what we can do here. My man Scott Blakely coming in from the Shy Chicago. What's good, man? He goes, Bills were the best team in the playoffs. Blame coaching, 13 seconds, defensive scheme, lost the game, not the players, right? And valid freaking point. That's why I put the question out there. Is it the players or is it the coaching, right? Did coaching fail us, or was it lack of development from these players? And they don't have it. They don't have it. And to me, I'm not fully blaming the coaches. But there's a big chunk of it. Tywan Jones said it best. I'm gonna say it this way. I think they asked him about the 13 seconds and the squib kick and all that jazz, and his response was communication. Communications. That's all I'm gonna get into. Is just communication. It was something they communicated. Well, the last time I checked, we have a new special teams coordinator, right? So that plays a part. In potentially if someone wants to throw blame, did Coach McDermott say, hey, squib that bitch? And Coach was like, huh? I didn't hear you. All right, guys, get on the field. Who knows, right? Did Coach say squib that kick? And then special teams coach is like, got it. Hey, squib that kick to our kicker, Mr. Bass. Mr. Bass did he have a lapse of judgment and decided, I'm so used to kicking these things out of the freaking end zone, I'm going to kick it out of the end zone. Oh, shit. I was supposed to squib it, right? Who knows? speculation. But at the end of the day, the root of all this 13 seconds comes down to communication. Is that crazy? Communication, man. Communication between people, communication between you and your spouse, communication between you and your kids. Communication is the root to keeping things honest, keeping things transparent when you talk. But if you have no conversation, you don't talk, man, this is where things go left, right, center, because I thought you said this, I thought you meant this, and problems. So, but that falls on who? Coaching. At the end of the day, it falls on the coaching, right? Coach them up, get these guys prepared. And if they're not prepared, you fall into situations like this. Not cool, right? You got Bills fans sobbing, grown men crying, you know what I'm saying? Turning off the game. They freaking turned off life for a week. It was bad, man. It was bad coaching. Coaches, y'all messed up a lot of people, man. Y'all messed up a lot of people. Real talk. We have some people that, you know what I'm saying, that didn't take this well. We could have been that Super Bowl. I'm just saying, putting it out there. Brett Holmes says, I say swap Singletary and Barkley and develop Moss so you have that pass catching dynamic back and the bruiser behind them. So get rid of Devin Singletary, the more productive back, right? And keep Moss, but trade for Barkley. Very interesting. I'm not hating on it, but it's interesting. I'm gonna keep it there. I'm gonna keep it there. So let's do this, folks. We are going to take a couple more questions. I got my man Kevin Gerard coming in. Says, hey, $2.5 million isn't even enough space to sign your draft class. Need to cut, and restructure. You damn right, Kevin. And here's the thing. And I was looking at the Dolphins. The Dolphins have $61 or $67 million. And it pains me because the Dolphins, they got a new coach. You know what I'm saying? And we all know they have a good roster. They got a very good roster. They got some good pieces, and they got money. So they're going to bolster this team even more. I don't even know how they have all this freaking money, first and foremost. But they're going to bolster their team heavily. And I mean, obviously they have to, because they need to come and fight with the big dog. I mean, we've been big dog for 2 years now, 2 years straight. So they got no choice. They gotta bolster their team. Let's just hope that they pay the wrong people, but they overpay the wrong people, and that way we continue to stay on top. But we'll see how that plays out. Because when you're on top, everyone's coming for you. You guys already know what that is. So let's play a game here. I'm going to share my screen, so hang tight, folks. We're going to go to SpotRack. I like SpotRack. SpotRack's a good it's a good site to use. Chrome tab. Let's do this. All right. Hang tight, folks. Can y'all see it? Wonderful. You guys can. I don't know why it didn't bring me to where I need to, because I thought I had it open, but it wasn't. Here we are. Let me fix my screen so I can put myself at the bottom here. Bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. So I hope you guys can see what's happening, and we'll get right into it. So here's the deal. We love our team. We know we have no money. we broke. So how do we manage this team? What do we do? It's not looking good, man. It is not looking good. I mean, look, here's where we are. It's telling us we have minus 2.3 million. It's telling other places tell us we have 6.3 million. I don't know what to believe these days. So for the sake of using this site here, we're going to mess around with it. All right. So here's the deal. We have the ability to, in this case, I wish they gave us the ability to kind of restructure, not restructure, but give someone a pay raise, right? Like Stephon Diggs, we give him an extension, that kind of changes everything, and it gives us some savings, right? So, but for the sake of using this very site, I'm gonna tell you right now, man, we don't have anything to do. We don't have nothing to play with. This is gonna be not good. So here's the deal. So we're already in the red at minus 2.3. All right. So I'm looking at Stephon Diggs. We're not gonna restructure him. We're not gonna reduce his base salary. The dude is worth everything he's got. In this case, I would actually extend him so we can actually money, but you can't really do in this game, right? Tre'Davious White stays the same. We ain't changing shit with Trey White. We ain't changing anything with Josh Allen. Now, you could trade Tremaine Edmunds, but I'm not going to do that. That's just silly talk. We need all the pieces we can in order for us to go right back. Deion Dawkins, do you restructure Deion Dawkins or do you keep him the way he is? I say we keep him the way he is. I don't see any reason to even touch the top guys' salaries, right? Here we go. Micah Hyde, right? Do you extend Micah Hyde? To me, you got an extension with Poyer. You got to do something with Micah Hyde. That's the way I look at it, right? But he's making a good salary. He's making 10 mil. He's making a good salary right now. So I'm gonna keep it right now. Keep it light. Matt Milano, we just gave him a deal. Now here's where it starts to get tricky. Daryl Williams. Do you restructure Daryl Williams with his salary of $9 million, or are you just outright releasing him? Now he was a starter. He was our starter. So what do you do with the likes of Daryl Williams? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, you don't want to get rid of him, right? The line started playing way better with the induction of Ryan Bates. So then you got to keep everybody intact on that line. It looked really good. So I'm looking at the chat right now. So I'm on the page. I'm looking at the chat, and I've got Joshua Richards saying cut him, get rid of him. Now, guys, you have to remember, with an action, there you need to explain who you're going to replace with him, because you now open a void at right guard if you cut him, right? Keep that in mind. Skyline says restructure, man. Just restructure him and go from there. Don't forget, when you restructure, all you're doing is pushing money down the line. You're keeping this guy for a little longer. So that's one way of looking at it, right? So that's there's so many plays, so many ways you can look at it, man. Cut Williams, we can sign a good guard for half the price. Who are you gonna sign, right? And that's the thing. Somebody says, "Yo, pay this man as guard." All right, you could trade him. That could be something that you could do too. Ronald Wriggler says, "You know what? Try to find a trade candidate for him." Right. So let's play around. Let's go back to Daryl Williams. So let's just say we trade Daryl Williams. Actually, hold on. Let's say we restructure Daryl Williams. Now, Daryl Williams now is restructured, and we now are in the positive. So we have cap space of 1.2 mil, but we saved $3 million with the restructure of Daryl Williams. If this is the case, boy, do we have a long way to go, right? Star Lotulelei. See, I've seen what I need to see out of Star Lotulelei. I'm being completely honest. With me, I'm either finding someone to trade him, give me some draft picks, find someone that needs an interior, like in a veteran interior lineman, and I would say good day to you, sir. Right? Or you can restructure. You restructure him, then you're just kicking the can down the line for him again. No, thank you. Or you can just outright release him. Right? Are you ready to release him? If you release him, right, you've now saved 1.5 mil with Star Lotulelei, and you're now total savings of 4.8, almost under 5 mil. You're at 2.7. Is that enough? Right? If a release. So let's just say we don't, oh, shoot, I released him. You know what? Too late. I was actually trying to bring him back. But let's just say we release him. He's gone. It's too late. I ain't going back. So now we're at 5 million. Cut. Gone. You're out of here. Because let's be real. We already know that we're going to be looking in the interior line. We're going to be looking at potentially Jordan Davis. We're probably going to be looking at what's his name? Wyatt. I can't forget his name. Something Wyatt. You know what I mean? I don't do the draft too much, but I'm going to get into it later on. But there's Trent Jones is out there. So like there's going to be some names out there that we can really bolster our line. So Star Lotulelei, me preemptively cutting him, maybe it was the right thing to do. Maybe he will be released. So we'll keep it moving, right? So we need more money. We're not even close to where we need to be, right? So here we go. Star Lotulelei is gone. Mitch Morse. Now, what do you do with Mitch Morse? We already restructured Mitch Morse not so long ago, right? So now, based on what Mitch Morse did for us this year, he stayed healthy. That's number one. That's huge, right? He was one of our better linemen all year. Consistent. Is he worthy of an extension? Because you give an extension, And now we have more room to play with. We get a little more room under the cap so that we can sign that one big free agent. So to me, I like the idea of actually extending Mitch Morse. And if you extend Mitch Morse, you have a veteran guy that understands it. He's the leader of the line, and you have a guy that's there that's with Josh Allen. That'll protect Josh Allen. He knows it, and he loves his team, and he loves Josh Allen. To me, I'm finding a way to either just keep Mitch the way it is and keep him moving, or you give him an extension. Right? That's the way I look at it. So to me, Mitch Morse, obviously, he's not touched. He goes nowhere. All right. Cole Beasley. Now, here's an interesting one. Do you extend Cole Beasley? Are you extending this man? Are we restructuring? Because if you restructure Cole Beasley, sorry, if that's actually trade. If I can't even restructure because he's in his last year of his deal. This is his last year. So you can't, it's either you extend him or you cut him. Or you trade him. Now, here's the thing with him. You save $6.1 million with the outright release of Cole Beasley. Are we ready for that? Now, here's the con of cutting Cole. When we needed the sticks to be moved, you count on Cole, right? You know they're going to double team Stephon Diggs. They don't want Stephon Diggs. They want nothing to do with Stephon Diggs getting that ball. So you want to move the ball. You want to move the sticks. And Cole Beasley was normally that guy that you move the sticks with. Now, secondly, you cut Cole Beasley, you cut a veteran guy that's on this team. You cut a guy that has earned the trust of Josh Allen. Josh Allen doesn't have to think twice. He's got his guy, right? He knows they have that synergy. They have that chemistry between each other. You cut that, there goes that part of the game. So you've got to really think twice about the outright release of Cole Beasley, right? Now, the pros of cutting Cole Beasley, obviously you save $6.1 million. That's huge. The second thing is you give opportunities to guys like Isaiah McKenzie to jump into that role. You give opportunities to guys like, I don't know, Isaiah Hodgins, big slot, to jump in that role. Are they the same as him? No. Are they going to be cheaper? Absolutely. Does it give an opportunity for Josh Allen to build trust with other people as he becomes more elite in his game? Absolutely. So there's some pros and cons. But at the end of the day, did he do enough for us in the stretch at the end to warrant bringing him back? Now, before we get into that, I got a super chat coming in from my guy, Scott Blakely. Shout out to my man, Scotty Too Hottie. He says, the elephant in the room is Frazier. Oh, lost a head coaching opportunity in 13 seconds. The scheme needs to change and rid that BS prevent. I'm with you, Scott. I mean, that prevent with little time to go on the clock, it's not good. You took a hit. You took a hit. Your legacy, your character, your coaching prowess took a hit. But we are where we are. Now, Cole Beasley. Are you cutting Cole Beasley? Brandon Beane said he's looking to have Cole Beasley brought back on the squad. Now, is that lip service? Is he just talking shit? Is he just saying it just, not to tip my cards? Well, do you guys remember Sammy Watkins? Oh, no, Sammy Watkins is going to be part of the squad. We're going to try to work. Sammy Watkins traded, right? So for the sake of saving money, sorry, Cole, you got to go. So we are now at $8.8 million. We saved $6.1 million with release of Cole Beasley. We are now with a total saving of almost $11 million. Now, here's where it starts to get a little tricky. AJ Klein. I like AJ Klein. I like AJ Klein as a backup LB, but they also just signed Tyrell Dodson to a 1-year deal. So that tells me AJ Klein's got to go. Now, can we trade AJ Klein? Can we trade his ass? Let's just cut him. Be done, right? We just saved $5.1 million with the cut of AJ Klein. AJ Klein is 31 years of age. He ain't an old man, but he's up there. And Tyrell Dodson is just coming on. So we're now up to $14 million. Are you guys okay with cutting AJ Klein? That's the real question. Because I like AJ Klein. AJ Klein came in, who was a very good pass rusher as a linebacker. I mean, we saw that last year with 5.5 sacks from AJ Klein, and he at the beginning of the year was some pure trash. But for somehow, some way, he found a way to earn the love of Buffalo Bills fans and became that dude. Right? He's either a cut candidate or he's trade bait. For the sake of this exercise that we're doing right now, we're gonna cut him. And that's the way I look at it, right? Josh Richardson, what's up, JR? He says, hey, get rid of Darrell Williams and sign Tomlinson from the 49ers. His market value is $3 million. Trade Cole Beasley for CMC, his contract, and restructure his deal. That's if he wants to get restructured. That's number one, right? Those things you got to try to work out prior to. If I'm going to trade for him, right, and give him whoever, he's got to promise that he's going to restructure his deal. Because if he has no intentions of restructuring, I'm not doing it, then there's no sense in trading for that guy, right? And CMC's got a major, big-ass contract. I'm not saying I hate the talent because the guy's an amazing running back. But that money they gave him, woof, that's big money. And I'm for it. Pay those running backs. But my man hasn't been able to stay healthy. That's the problem. That's been the problem. So Cole Beasley, bye-bye. AJ Klein, bye-bye. So here's we're gonna keep it moving, man. We're gonna keep it moving, right? So I'm just reading some comments here. Shout out to my guy, Akeem Richard. What's up, Akeem? What's happening, bro? Tyrell Dodson over Klein any day. I like Tyrell Dodson, man. Tyrell Dodson's gonna be something special soon. Definitely soon. Akeem Richards comes in and says, yo, Panthers already have DJ Moore, Robbie, and Terrence Marshall. They got a good receiving squad over there, man. They got a good receiving squad. So you wanna keep your receiving squad together with a nice running back. He just got to stay healthy. That's it. That's all he's got to do. But anyway, moving on and seeing where we can keep cutting and try to find some John Feliciano. Now, here's an interesting one. I have a feeling John Feliciano is going to leave. Listen, he came in from the Raiders with Bobby Johnson. Bobby Johnson brought his ass over. Johnny's been all right. You know what I'm saying? He's had his moments of we could trust him. You know what I mean? He's his quarterback's best friend, all that good stuff. We get that, right? But he's also been replaced. Ryan Bates is that dude. Darrell Williams, you know what I'm saying, has had success, and you can put him at right tackle as well. So he's got versatility. To me, yo, you out of here, kid. Johnny, gone. We just saved $3.4 million with Johnny. So we now have $17 million in savings, right? And we're going to go back and check to see what we got left, right? Teron Johnson, we ain't touching that. We just signed this man. Leave that man alone. Tyler Matakevich. Now, here's the deal with Tyler Matakevich. Are we bringing back Tywan Jones? Are we bringing back Saron Neal? Because if we bring back those two guys and Tyler Matakevich at age 30, backup linebacker, but good special teamer, are we keeping him? Right? If we release him, we save $2.5 million. I don't know what I just did there. Did I add him back in? Yes, I did. So what are we doing? We can't restructure him. He's in the last year of his deal. I think I'm going to keep him. I'm going to leave him the way he is. I will revisit if we need to, right? So here I are. We are Greg Rousseau, Cody Ford. I'm going to keep Cody Ford. Some people will say, yo, just release the man and keep it. No, I'm going to keep Cody Ford for depth. You know what I'm saying? And he's a second round pick. Maybe with Aaron Cromer coming in, maybe he somehow finds a way to revitalize that man's career and Cody Ford becomes the best version of himself. Who knows? That's a hope. That's a stretch, but it's a hope. So I'm going to keep Tyler Matakevich and I will keep my man Cody Ford. Although you guys already know how I feel about him, it's a wrap. Emmanuel Sanders, there's a chance he's going to retire. Who knows what he's doing? It means nothing if he's on the team, because guess what? We cut him. It does absolutely nothing to the books. We save zero. It's just what it is. So let's just say he's not on the squad. Carlos Basham, Andre Smith. They like Andre Smith. He's only 25 years old. We're going to keep Andre. And that's another guy that's a special teamer. Now, Andre Smith should have been left behind on that special teams blunder that he had, but that's another conversation for another day. Reed Ferguson, we got to keep Reed. That's our guy, and we just gave him an extension not too long ago. We're not going to restructure him already. He's straight, right? Jaquan Johnson, Tommy, Tyler Bass, Cam Lewis. I mean, these are guys that we gotta, you know what I'm saying, future guys that we gotta keep. Marquez Stevenson, we're gonna keep him. I mean, these guys are, I don't want to call them insignificant, but they don't hurt us. They don't hurt us. But there is one cut that needs to potentially happen. And for right now, Spot Track is not responding. But when it starts to respond, I'll come back to it. Right? Oh, it's right back to it. So where is the guy that I'm looking for that we can move on from? And he's making a good little penny. And I can't see. Oh, there it is, right there. Matt Hack. To me, no. I've seen enough from my friend Matt Hack. I saved $1.2 million with Matt Hack. Bye-bye. Right? So total saving of 20 mil, cap space of 18.7. Now, I ain't Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane, he may value more guys on the squad than I would, but there's some things that just need to be done. So I'm gonna keep it at that. With all the teams, all the people that we've done. So let's recap what we've done here. So our transactions, we've restructured Darrell Williams. We've released Arlo Tule, released Cole Beasley, released AJ Klein. We've released John Woods Feliciano, and Manuel Sanders is probably going to retire. And we released Matt Hack, which gave us a saving of 20 mil and gives us $18 million in the cap. Now, 18 mil in the cap. Let me just close this bad boy here. Thank you guys for playing along with me, right? Now, those are rough. That's probably not even close to what McDermott is going to do and Brandon Beane. But those moves are where we can tend to save. And I wanted to open this up more. Actually, I'm going to open it up again because there is something that I wanted to show you guys in terms of who is in trouble. Because we're sitting here in a position where we're at we were at 2.3 mil or minus 2.3 mil. In some places they have us at 6.3 mil, right? So that being said, I'm curious to see what it looks like where other teams are in their salary cap. I told you about the Miami Dolphins and where they stand with their salary cap. I'm curious to see the salary cap, team salary caps for all of the NFL. So forgive me while I peruse through and look at these team salary caps. So let me share my page once again to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at. Because this kind of gives you a great idea of where teams stand and where we stand, right? So here we are. If you guys can see me, I'm on the bottom of the screen. So check this out, folks. Miami Dolphins are sitting at 61 mil. I said 67. $61 million. They are the leaders, right? Chargers, 57. So the top 5 teams, the Bengals, look at the Bengals of $48 million, and they just hit the Super Bowl, for crying out loud. So they're only going to get better. Yeah, that's scary. That is scary. The Jets, Broncos, the Colts got some money. You know what I'm saying? The Seahawks, the Commanders. That's a weird name. I don't know if I'm going to get used to that. The Pittsburgh, I just got used to Washington football team, for crying out loud. Pittsburgh Steelers and Chicago Bears. Anyway, so this is where it starts to kind of dip. So let's see where we stand here. Let me scroll on down. So the league average is at $13 million. That's the league average of money in the bank. So here's where the Bills are. All right. Minus 1.3. You got Atlanta Falcons, Tennessee Titans, New York Giants that are in. I mean, Joe Shane is going over there to fix that. So there's going to be some moves made with the New York Giants. That's why Buffalo should stand still and see what they do, because there's some good pieces on that Giants team. Bradbury being one of them. I like Bradbury. If we can bring over Bradbury, I would not be mad at that whatsoever. Los Angeles Rams, 13, minus 30. They're 13 in the hole. They just won the damn Super Bowl, right? Vikings, they're going to make some moves. The Dallas Cowboys are minus 21 mil. You know they have to make some moves. Green Bay Packers, golly, $48 million in the hole. And then the Saints. No wonder Peyton left that team. You got no quarterback. You're almost 80K in the hole. Man, you have to make some moves. I feel bad for that squad. So there's going to be some good players released and let go. We may have to do the same thing. Obviously, we have to. So, but we just got to play the game, chill out, see who get released, and then it's just an all-out bidding war and seeing what we can do. But we have to take care of things on our end first, and that's what I got to come down to. So that's it for me, folks. I just wanted to come on here and chat about what this team can do, what this team is capable of who we have to move on from and who we're releasing. But really at the end of the day, this is the time of year where it's super tough. If we had a lot of money in the bank, man, we just go nuts, but we don't. But that's the cost. That's the cost of being a good team, a well-managed team where you're just on the teeter. You got to move a couple moves you got to make. You know what I'm saying? You got some aging guys, but the one thing that I will respect out of our guy, Mr. Brandon Beane, is he knows how to make these contracts where I'll give you a 2-year contract, 3-year contract, but really it's a 1 year, right? And I have the option of getting out of that contract, or we can figure something out. So that's why I have the utmost trust in Brandon Beane. When it comes to developing players, I'm here and there. There's some moments, but I what I'd love to see is McDermott say, okay, this is the year that we need to see these young guys really get after it. Enough of this freaking coddling you guys and having you surrounded by veterans. And listen, man, let the dogs be dogs. And if they're dogs, let them out. Get the leash off of them and let them go. Release your hounds. You know what I'm saying? Stop holding on to the leash like you DMX. You holding on to these pups. You feel me? Yo, let go of the leash. You ain't DMX. Don't stop leashing these dogs, man. Unleash your hounds. Straight up. Anyway, but that's where I stand, man. So I think we have a great opportunity as a team to make minimal moves that still keeps us competitive, still keeps us as a top dog in the game. But Brandon Beane is going to tweak things here and there, and there's got to be one big piece he's got to bring to this team. That's just my opinion. One big piece, whether it's on offense side of the ball or defense side of the ball, it has to be a big piece that is a game changer, an impact player. You can't go and just bring all these little guys here and there and expect he's on big things, right? The Bengals made a big transaction when they brought in Hendricks. They paid him a lot of money, and he was well worth it with over 14 sacks, right? They drafted well. They did very good, right? In drafting, they got Jamar Chase. They got themselves their quarterback the year before, a couple years before. So you already know what it is. Actually, yeah, the year before. What am I saying? A couple years before. The year before. So you guys already know what it is. I mean, there's some pieces that can be had, right? Sometimes we got to make some sacrifices. We may have to let it go a big piece or make some restructures here and there and some extensions here and there. But I'm confident that we'll get to the number we need to get to and get that big piece that we need in order for us to run it right back the division, run it right back to the playoffs, and run it right back to the division AFC championship so we can finally get over the hump and make it to the Super Bowl. That is the goal. That's always the goal. But guess what? There's 31 other teams trying to do the same damn thing. This is where you got to put your best pieces on the map, best pieces on the table. You know what I'm saying? And just let them do what they do. Let them do what they do. And that's simple as that, man. That's a good question. Rico, would you cut Trudeau? Yes, I cut Trudeau. But anyway, there's a lot, or maybe restructure. You know what I'm saying? Let's relook at your contract and let's see what we can do here, because there's some good things that you do, but there's some things that I really don't like. So I don't know. We're on the brink of cutting or restructuring. We don't know yet. We have no idea. But anyway, it's fun times in Canada. I'll tell you that much. It's there's some divide. Let's just put it that way. There's some divide for sure. But anyway, that being said, that's it for me, folks. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody tuning in, especially for you guys that are listening to on podcast form. I appreciate you if you listen to me in your car, if you're listening to me in the gym. You know what I'm saying? If you need that extra motivation to get that rep in, push that rep. You feel me? You want that? You're on that treadmill. Yo, get those 3 miles in, those 5 miles in. You driving home, you going for a walk, do what it is. I appreciate y'all listening to the Rico Report and the Buffalo Fanatics. Much love. And listen, folks, be good to each other, man. This life of ours that we have is super short. Super short. So there's no sense in being negative all the time, man. Positivity is always best. Be good to one another. And we'll call it a night, man. So, folks, enjoy yourself. We'll have some content coming in from my man Z-Bot. I think he's gonna have a pre-recorded coming out shortly, and I will see you guys back again Friday. Not sure what show I'm gonna give you guys on Friday, but it's gonna be a good one. We're gonna talk about this roster some more, and we're gonna break down these rosters a little more, and we're gonna do shortly the state of the AFC East. So we're gonna touch on all 4 squads and seeing what they're going to be doing, what is happening, potentially who they're going to bring in. That may come after free agency, so we see what they look like. But we'll see how that goes, man. We'll see how that goes. So that being said, folks, enjoy yourselves, be good, and we'll catch you on the flip side. So I don't got nothing else to say, folks. That's it for me. Let me cue up my music, and we out of here. So that's it, folks. Enjoy it. Be good. Love y'all. And catch you on the flip side, man. So until next time, it's your boy.
Buffalo, 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 Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics. It's the Rico Report knocking at your door. Say it with your chest, best believe that we blessed, yeah. It's the Rico Repo knocking at your door. Say it with your chest, best believe that we blessed, yeah. Go Bills, Josh Allen and the team putting work on the field. Time to win a Super Bowl and see how I feel. Bring out the tables, cause we about to break a division champs again. Boy, the Patriots is hating. Buffalo state of mind, 716. Believe we gon' get a Super Bowl ring. This Bills Mafia, get it through your head. Buffalo versus everybody. Buffalo, 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 Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics, Buffalo Fanatics. Hey yo, shout out to Rico, man. Shout out to the campaign and all.